going to see an easiest chapter but very important and related to our life and to our body itself. Can you guess the lesson? Yes, today we are going to see the chapter 8, cell structure and functions. Without any delay, let's get started. Chapter 8, cell structure and function. You have already learned that things around us are either living or non-living. Further, you may recall that all living organisms carry out certain basic functions. Can you list out these functions? The different sets of organs perform the various functions you have listed. In this chapter, you shall learn about the basic structural unit of an organ, which is the cell. Cells may be compared to bricks. Bricks are assembled to make a building. Similarly, cells are assembled to make the body of every organism. Discovery of the cell. Robert Hooke in 1665 observed slices of cork under a simple magnifying device. Cork is a part of bark of a tree. He took thin slices of cork and observed them under a microscope. He noticed partitioned boxes or compartments in the cork. These boxes appeared like a honeycomb. He also noticed that one box was separated from the other by a wall or partition. Who coined the term cell for each boxes? What Hooke observed was as boxes or cells in the cork were actually dead cells. Cells of living organisms could be observed only after the discovery of improved microscopes. Very little was known about the cell for the next 150 years after Robert Hooke's observation. Today we know a lot about the cell structure and its function because of improved microscopes having high magnification. The cell, both bricks in a building and cell in a living organism, are basic structural units. The built of similar bricks have different design shapes and sizes. Similarly, in the living world, organisms differ from one another, but all are made of cells. Cells in the living organisms are complex living structures unlike non-living bricks. The egg of a hen represents a single cell and it's big enough to seen by the unaided eye. Organisms show variety in cell number, shape and size. How do scientists observe and study the living cells? They use microscopes which magnify objects. Stains, dyes are used to color parts of the cell to study the detailed structure. There are millions of living organisms. They are of different shapes and sizes. Their organs also vary in shape, size and number of cells. Let us study about some of them. Number of cells. Can you guess the number of cells in a tall tree or in a huge animal like elephant? The number runs into billions and trillions. Human body has trillions of cells which vary in shapes and sizes. Different groups of cells perform the variety functions. A billion is 1,000 million. A trillion is 1,000 billion. Organisms made of more than one are called multicellular, many cellular cell organisms. The number of cells being less in smaller organisms does not in any way affect the functioning of the organism. You will be surprised to know that the organism with billions of cells begins life as a single cell, which is fertilized egg. The fertilized egg cell multiplies and the number of cells increased as development proceeds. Look at figure 8.3. Both organisms are made of single cell. The single-celled organisms are called unicellular. One cellular cell organisms. A single-celled organism performed all the necessary functions that multicellular organisms performed. A single-celled organism like amoeba captures and digests food, respires, excretes, grows and reproduces. Similar functions in multicellular organisms are carried out by groups of specialized cells forming different tissues. Tissues in turn form organs. Shape of cells. Refer to figure 8.3. How do you define the shape of amoeba in the figure? You may say that the shape appears irregular. In fact, amoeba has no definite shape. Unlike other organisms, it keeps on changing its shape. Observe the projections of varying lengths protruding out of its body. These are called pseudopodia. Pseudo, false, podia, feet, as you learnt in class 7. The projections appear and disappear as amoeba moves or feeds. A white blood cell WBC in human blood is another example of single cell which can change its shape. But while WBC is a cell, amoeba is a full-fledged organism capable of independent existence. What shape would you expect in an organism with millions of cells? Figure 8.4 ABC shows different cells such as blood, muscle and nerve of human beings. Different shapes are related to their specific functions. Generally, cells are round, spherical and elongated. Some cells are long and pointed at both ends. They exhibit a spindle shape. Cells sometimes are quite long. Some are branched like nerve cell or neuron. The nerve cell receives and transfers messages, thereby helping to control and coordinate the working of different parts of the body. Can you guess which part of the cell gives its shape? Components of the cell are enclosed in a membrane. This membrane provides shape to the cell of plants and animals. Cell wall is an additional covering over the cell membrane in plant cells. It gives shape and rigidity to these cells. Bacterial cell also has a cell wall. Size of cell. The size of cells in a living organism may be small as a millionth of meter, micrometer or micron, or may be as large as few centimeters. However, most of the cells are microscopic in size and are not visible to the unaided eye. They need to be enlarged or magnified by a microscope. The smallest cell is 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer in bacteria. The largest cell, measuring 170 mm into 130 mm, is the egg of an ostrich. The size of the cell has no relation with the size of the body of the animal or plant. It is not necessary that cells in the elephant be much bigger than those in rat. The size of the cell is related to its function. For example, nerve cells both in elephant and rat are long and branched. They perform the same function, that of transferring messages. Cell structure and function. You have learned that each living organism has many organs. You have studied in class 7 about the digestive organs which together constitute the digestive system. Each organ in the system performs different functions such as digestion, assimilation and absorption. Similarly, different organs of a plant perform specific or specialized functions. For example, roots help in the absorption of water and minerals. Leaves, as you have learnt in class 7, are responsible for synthesis of food. Each organ is further made up of smaller parts called tissues. A tissue is a group of similar cells performing a specific function. Paley realized that an organ is made of tissues which in turn are made of cells. The cells in a living organism is the basic structural unit. Parts of cell. The basic component of cell are membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. The cytoplasm and nucleus are enclosed with the cell membrane, also called the plasma membrane. The plasma membrane separates the cell from one another and also the cell form the surrounding medium. The plasma membrane is porous and allows the movement of substances or materials both inward and outward. The boundary of the onion cell is the cell membrane covered by other thick covering called the cell wall. The central dense round body in the center is called the nucleus. The jelly-like substance between the nucleus and the cell membrane is called cytoplasm. You have learnt earlier that the cell membrane gives shape to the cell. In addition to the cell membrane, there is an outer thick layer in cells of plants called cell wall. This additional layer surrounding the cell membrane is required by plants for protection. The plant cell needs protection against variation in temperature, high wind speed, atmospheric moisture, etc. They are exposed to these variations because they can't move. Cells can be observed in leaf peel of Tradescanta, Yeloda or Riho. You can prepare a slide as in the case of onion. Pahli asked Bujo if he can also observe animal cells. Cytoplasm. It is the jelly-like substance present between the cell membrane and the nucleus. Various other components or organelles of cell are present in the cytoplasm. These are mitochondria, Golgi bodies, ribosomes, etc. You will learn about them in later classes. Nucleus. It is an important component of the living cell. It is generally spherical and located in the center of the cell. It can be stained and see with the help of microscope. Nucleus is separated from the cytoplasm by a membrane called nuclear membrane. This membrane is also porous and allows the movement of materials between the movement between the cytoplasm and inside of the nucleus. With the microscope of higher magnification, we can see a smaller spherical in the nucleus. It is called the nucleolus. In addition, nucleus contains thread-like structures called chromosomes. These carry genes and help in inheritance of transfer of characters from the parent to the offspring. The chromosome can be seen only when the cell divides. Gene is a unit of inheritance in living organism. It controls the transfer of the heredity characteristic from parent to offspring. This means that your parents pass some of their characteristics to you. If your father has brown eyes, you may also have brown eyes. If your mother has curly hair, you might also end up having curly hair. However, the different combination of genes from parents result in different characteristics. Nucleus, in addition to its role in inheritance, acts as control center of the activities of the cell. The entire content of a living cell is known as protoplasm. It includes the cytoplasm and the nucleus. Protoplasm is called the living substance of the cell. The nucleus of the bacterial cell is not well organized like the cells of multicellular organism. There is no nuclear membrane. The cells having nuclear material without nuclear membrane are termed as prokaryotic cells. The organisms with these kinds are called prokaryotes. Primitive karyon nucleus. Examples are bacteria and blue-green algae. The cells like onion cells and cheek cells having well organized nucleus with the nuclear membrane are designated as eukaryotic cells. All organisms other than bacteria and blue or green algae are called eukaryotes. True. Carry on. Nucleus. While observing the onion cells under microscope, did you notice any blank looking structure in the cytoplasm? It is vacuole. It could be single and big as in an onion cell. Cheek cells have smaller vacuole. Large vacuoles are common in plant cells. Vacuoles in animals are much smaller. You might have noticed several small colored bodies in the cytoplasm of the cells of Tradescantia leaf. They are scattered in the cytoplasm of the leaf cells. These are called plastids. They are of different colors. Some of them contain green pigment called chlorophyll. Green colored plastids are called chloroplast. They provide green color to the leaves. You may recall that the chlorophyll in the chloroplast of leaves is essential for photosynthesis. Comparison of plants and animals. If you recall activities 3.3 and 3.4, you should be able to compare plant and animal cells. Observe the plant and animal cells carefully. Let us tabulate the similarities and distinguishing the features of plants and animal cells. Only a few features are mentioned. You may add more in table 8.1. I just tell you the present or if it is present or absent. Cell membrane present. Cell wall absent, present, absent. Nucleus present, nuclear membrane present, cytoplasm present, plastids present, absent, vacuole present. Let us read out the keywords of this lesson. Cell membrane, cell wall, chloroplast, chromosome, cytoplasm, eukaryotic, gene, multicellular, nuclear membrane, nucleolus, nucleus, organelles, plasma membrane, plastid, prokaryotes, pseudopodia, tissue, unicellular, vacuole, white blood cell. All organisms are made of smaller parts called organs. Organs are made up of still smaller parts. The smallest living part of an organism is the cell. Cells were first observed in Cork by Robert Hooke in 1665. Cells exhibit a variety of shapes and sizes. Number of cells also varies from organism to organism. Some cells are big enough to see with the unaided eye. Hence, egg is an example. Some organisms are single-celled, while others contain large number of cells. The single cell of a unicellular organism performs all the basic functions performed by a variety of cells in a multicellular organism. The cell has three main parts: the cell membrane, cytoplasm, which contains smaller components called organelles, and the nucleus. The cell nucleus is separated from cytoplasm by a nuclear membrane. Cells without well-organized nucleus, that is lacking nuclear membrane, are called prokaryotes. Cells. Plant cells differ from animal cell in having an additional layer around the cell membrane termed cell wall. Colored bodies called plastids are found in the plant cells only. Green plastids containing chlorophyll are called chloroplast. Plant cell has a big central vacuole, unlike the number of small vacuoles in animal cells. I think this video will be useful to you. Please like this video, share to your friends, and subscribe our Important in Science channel. Let us meet in other interesting video.